I went that night and I sat down with him. I looked like a lawyer. I had books everywhere. I was like, sit. And he sat down and I told him everything I knew about the Holy Spirit. And at the end, he goes, wow, that's amazing. You should start a men's group. And I went, no, thank you. I had not told anybody in my life. I'd made friends. I got involved in the parish. And I was afraid if people knew, they would leave me. They would abandon us. They'd kick my family out of the parish. So I said, Jay, nope. I told you I'd do this. I'll get the check. End of transaction. See you never. And he was like, why? Why do you always do that? Why do you always hide from me? Why do you always make things difficult? Like, I had to beg you to come here. And I've not told anybody. And the Holy Spirit convicted me. And I said, Jay, stop. I said, I was arrested on a felony charge of cocaine last year. I'm not your guy. And he looked at me and he goes, wow, that's amazing. You should start a men's group. And I went, are you on drugs? Like, maybe we should drug test you. Did you not hear what I said? And he goes, man, look, we're all broken. And he goes, look at our parish. We got a great men's club. Yeah, we had a school. And he said, we drink beer and cook barbecue and do trivia and all that stuff and fundraisers. And we provide for jerseys for our kids, but we never talk about Jesus. Like, we never talk about the faith. And we had a Knights of Columbus council, but there was only 4 guys out of 100 that were doing anything. And so, like, he goes, we don't have anything really right now that men are attracted to and going to. And he said, so let's just call some men together. I felt the Holy Spirit move, and we called 30 men together the next Wednesday night. Didn't tell them why we were doing it. He called who he knew. I called who I knew. My wife wasn't real happy about it, but I felt like I needed to do it. I felt like the Spirit was moving me to do it. So I show up that night. These guys are in a room. I didn't know at the time Jay was always late, and he was supposed to bring beer because we were hoping if we had beer, they'd actually stay. So I show up, and I go to grab the door, and I can see in, and they're all looking like, what are we doing here and all this stuff. They couldn't see me because it was at nighttime. And as soon as my hand hit the door, the devil showed up and goes, what are you doing? You go in there and you tell all these people this stuff, you're going to lose everything. You're going to embarrass your wife. They're going to kick your kids out of this school. They're going to make you leave this parish. You're going to lose all these friends. And so I let go of the door and I started walking back to the car, and I got about 3 steps. And I heard what you hear in the Old Testament, that God's voice isn't in the fire and in the earthquake, it's in the whisper. And I heard Jesus say, John, you told me when you walked out of that jail cell you'd be different if I gave you your life back. Turn around and open the door. And so I did. I walked in and they're like, what are we doing here, man? And where's the beer? And so I look and Jay comes sloshing in with a cooler and everybody gets a drink. And I said, look, guys, I know you didn't know why you were here. We got a great men's club and all this stuff, but we never talk about Jesus. And let me tell you what can happen in your life when that's the case. And I went blood. And I ugly cried in front of all these men sitting there scared to death. Their eyes were getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like a lot of yours I've been looking at for the last hour. And I kept thinking, they're going to leave. And I finally get to the end of it, and I said, look, Father wants me to start something for men, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing.